Hey there YouTube, Paul Oz here once again. How's it going, guitar fam? Today I have a really exciting piece of gear I am very excited to review. It is the Revv G3 Pedal. That was pretty epic, hey? And it is a purple channel of their flagship amplifier, the Generator 120 from what I understand. Maybe it's on a couple of other amps. I don't know, man. I'm too hyped on this pedal to really do that much of an extensive research. It's their highest gain sound, basically in a box. And it sounds like a tube amplifier sound. And through a digital unit like my Axe-FX2, that's incredible. So let's dive right in. It has a bass, middle, and treble control, of course, for all these different sounds. The volume control, which is very interesting, and I'll mention why in a minute here. A aggression switch, which is blue, which is a lower gain, red, which is the highest, and then the middle setting, which happens to be the lowest gain. Well, it's off, right? And then we've got the gain. The interesting thing about the red position is that it adds quite a bit of hair, quite a bit of gain. That's the lowest position on the pedal. The blue adds a little bit, but not that much. It's still a bit dialed back. It's better for a more vintagier tone. But even then, I would say you can use it for death metal if you want. You can use it for prog. Definitely for smoother, jazzier, sizzling kind of leads if you like some distortion in your lead. It's a super multifunctional pedal, but enough of my yammering on. So we are currently set to noon on everything. It's completely a blank slate, and we're going from an Aristides 080S into, well, with bare knuckle pickups, into the Revv G3 pedal in front of my amp block in the Axe-FX2, which happens to be a 5153 green, which is the clean sound of a 5153. As such, the signal is going to be a little bit noisier, and that's just because I'm running it as if I'm running it as a overdrive, boost kind of a sound. Let's hear how it sounds completely at noon. Now, the way I like to EQ things is to do it per guitar. So for me, the settings are wildly different. I do not stay at noon. So I'm going to be utilizing the red aggression, and I'm going to show you exactly how I use it first, and then I'll explain my reasoning why. So let's switch it over. Gonna go on to the red sound. The gain is highly dialed back. The treble's boosted quite a bit. The mid stays here and the bass stays a little bit back. This is the way I like to run the pedal with my 080S because of the nature of the pickups. They feel a little bit more low output and they need some saturation in different ways to make it very satisfying for me. So. Now that kind of distortion and breakup for me is wonderful, excellent, and I wanted to show this off with an 080S with a multi-scale guitar on purpose because it can only get better from here. It works with every instrument I've thrown at it, and I cannot wait to show you the rest of what this thing is capable of. So let's dive a little bit into some of the responses. I'm going to play a chord and go through why the red aggression with very little actual gain engaged is a good call. So. If the pickups were a bit hotter, that would be enough without any added gain, just the red aggression switch. That's incredible to me. That's immediately a usable sound anyways. Really evil sound. I really love that. So, alright, I'm going to use some gain. I can't go without any gain. But you guys don't need to have that much dialed in, which means your signal is going to be a lot cleaner, and depending on your pickups, that's fantastic. I mean, that's perfectly usable. So, I'm going to now go through the treble bit here. Now usually it starts to get usable around 11 o'clock. That's with a lot of different pedals. That's just a little too cloudy for me. But right at about here, ooh, there's that gain, kind of noisy stuff going on. Right here is where I like it the best. So you get the idea. You get the idea. I'm gonna go through the middle setting now. So, as I was saying before, these pickups on this guitar are just a little bit more low output than I would like to admit. So, I will probably have to screw around with the bass knob a little bit. Let's hear how it sounds with just a big old... I just can't get over how good those pinch harmonics sound. I love a good pinch harmonic, and if it's a digital piece of gear, most of the time it doesn't seem to saturate properly or correctly. It doesn't feel really tube-like. How is this pedal able to do that? I don't know how they made it, with what parts on the inside. I'm sure that there's some kind of information out there. But it's fantastic. It's got to be my favorite distortion pedal ever. I just want to implore you to really check this out. If you have a friend who's got one, because a lot of people already know someone who's got one by this point, and this review is coming in late, this has been out for a while now, go try it out and try it through a big rig. I'm trying it through a digital one and I'm super satisfied. My XFX2, as I've said in previous videos, is a complete DI box right now. It's just DI, just for the guitar signal, which is kind of crappy because I spent a lot of money on it, but I prefer the tone of the Revv right now, man. I've been using it in a bunch of pre-production demos, for lead sounds, for rhythm sounds, and it sounds monstrous with every single guitar I put through it. Now I'm going to switch guitars to a 6-string with Lundgren pickups. These are very high output. It's the M series, and let's see how the pedal responds to that. So utilizing the same settings as the 8-string just for now, let's see what kind of tone we got. See, now that's one of my favorite riffs of all time by a band called Decapitated, Spheres of Madness, and that's just able to do it, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day. I'm super impressed. And this is on the highest gain settings, so let's switch over to the blue. I have a feeling it's going to sound a little different here. Here we go. So, blue sound. See, that's now enough gain just from switching the switch. Aha, flipping the switch for thrash metal for sure. All I did was flip a switch, and it's able to have enough saturation for thrash metal. If I flip it the other way, it'll have enough saturation for leads. Incredible. I really enjoy the way that this pedal sounds. For me, it's too much mids right now. Let's dial down the mids. Let's just eyeball it without hearing it, and let's just see. Still too many mids for Paul Oz. So I'm gonna cut those down even a hair more, and let's see what kind of sound we're getting. I never, really learned that song. So it has a very tube-like mid-range section. Meaning to say, if I cut them completely, it's going to sound closer to Dimebag Darrell than I want to sound. But it seems to have that warmth and saturation that I would expect of a tube amplifier. And the way that it's able to saturate in terms of pinch harmonics through an Axe Effects unit, whether it's on the blue or the red aggression switch, is perfect. As a guitar player who loves his gear and who utilizes it to the fullest, this is something I've been using regularly since the day it arrived. And I think that's the best way that I can explain to you guys how much I enjoy this piece of kit. I'm using it. I'm using it regularly. I use it on demos all the time. I'm using it in a few future covers which are already tracked. I'm just getting some people to get involved with it as well. And I think that's the best way for me to articulate why this thing is so killer. As with one of my recent videos, I'm going to play a death riff. I can't get enough of it. Really, like, I know what I like to hear out of my own guitars and what my fingers are capable of. You know what I mean? I have an idea of what I like to sound like. With this pedal, I'm able to capture that very quickly. And ease of use is a wonderful part about guitar equipment. It's like, well, how easy is it? Is it going to take you 14 hours and a learning curve that's very steep in order to get a good sound? Or is it going to take you about 10 minutes to just tweak something out and figure it out like that, drop of the hat style, man? It's fantastic. I love this unit a lot. So without going overboard now, I'm going to switch to the 7-string so you guys have a full idea of 8, 6, and 7. I kind of didn't need to do it in that order. Of the sounds that are possible, and that's going to be Cold Sweats in an 070. I remember the day I got the pedal, I started playing it with a few different, well, with hopefully all of my Aristides, but when I started to play with my 7-string, this guitar with it, it was perfect. This guitar is really angry. There's Cold Sweats in this guitar, Cold Sweats by Bare Knuckle Pickups, and they're furious, and I really enjoy that fury. And if I'm able to tame that a little bit and add some sweetness, I'm happy. Because digitally speaking, in terms of digital amplification, it got a little bit too much sometimes, a little hairy, a little trebly. So this honed that in really, really simply. Now, that's not that much gain, and I want a little bit more. So I'm going to change the EQ just for this guy, like a little bit more of that sizzle, maybe a little less of the mids, and this can be pumped up a bit. So the Cold Sweats are fairly percussive, but I want a bit more bass, you know what I mean? So let's hear how this sounds. Now that's what I'm talking about. I just love playing with my guitars in the first place, right? And to have something that helps me feel like I've got a killer tone and a killer sizzle and a killer bite helps all the time. Intuitive gear like this is well worth the money. I think it's running at about $230 US, roughly, something like that. And man, I would buy it again if it broke today. You know what I mean? It's just that damn good. I don't like giving so many positive reviews in a row, but it's been kind of a blessing at the end of the day. The stuff that I've been reviewing these last couple of weeks here, it's wondrously good. Gear has gotten so much more intuitive since I used to do these kinds of things. And I'm telling you, I don't want to hype you. I don't want to make you buy or force you to see it my way. I'm enjoying the hell out of playing guitar when I'm using this little pedal. And it's purple. I'm sold, man. So what's my verdict? If you really enjoy tube distortion and you've got a Axe-Fx or a Helix or something like that and you want to try something a little different, I would highly recommend checking out one of these Revv G3 pedals. It's got to be one of my favorite sounds I've gotten in years, and that should speak volumes. I'm very, very particular about my tone. All the way from when I got my Axe-Fx in the first few months, I realized how much was possible, but it was a huge learning curve, and that isn't very helpful. So if you're someone who wants to try something new, and for those of us where the price is an inexpensive cost, go try it out, man. It's so worth it. What I'd like to try now is a not very heavily distorted tone. Now, a lot of people come to my YouTube page for those things. I think I've covered those bases. So I'm going to split the middle pickup selection. So splitting these two guys. And I'm going to put this onto a warmer lead sound. Why does that clean up so damn good? I'm so surprised every time I try to get a different tone. For me, that means I can, at the flick of a switch, and maybe a little bit of the twisting of that gain control, get an Al Di Meola Santana sizzle tone, and then immediately go into death metal. As a studio guy, that's fantastic. As a live guy, it's not very fun to start, clicking through pedals and things like that. I understand that. That would be problematic. But I think not too many people are doing Santana death metal. Just a thought, just a thought. So I'm going to switch to a bit of an affected sound now so you can hear how wonderfully the pedal is able to give me a great affected sound. Like, it's a great base for effects. Now, I'm obviously gonna have to max out the gain, so let's do this, folks. All right, so that's my lead sound. Let's do it. Oh, it's sick. Oh, man. something so vocal about that sound. I really enjoy that. I'm gonna have to keep this as a preset. Thankfully, I'm recording the whole thing. So, hope that you guys enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. If you've been thinking about sniping a G3, I think now is the time, because they do these things in batch orders and things like that, and so like I don't know when the next batch is coming out. By the time this video is watched by you, maybe it's been a couple of years and maybe they've gone through a different iteration. I have no idea, but for right now, this is one of the best, if not the best, distortion pedal on the damn market, and that's coming from a guy who's picky as hell about his tone and going through a digital amp basically. So that's all I really got to say, folks. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you will subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and share it if you want other people to hear the awesomeness of this thing, because, oh man, I'm stoked. I mean, I use it above the Active Effects distortion. Come on, that's gotta account for something, you know what I mean? That's incredible. Anyway, I'll see you next time, YouTube. Cheers. Hey, so before I completely forget, I wanted to mention a great friend of mine, Arnold Havelwitz. He is a fellow YouTuber and musician and heavy metal dude, and he has the Unbiased Gear Reviews channel. And I wanted to send a huge shout out to that guy because he's fantastic at what he does. And if you don't know his format, it's a very, very truthful way of looking at things and of talking about equipment. And I really enjoy every time one of his videos pops up, because I know I'm gonna get an interesting thing going on. And why did I pan from whiskey? Well, he does beer. I can't have beer. I have a gluten kind of allergy. It's very brutal. So this is a cheers to Mr. Arnold Havelwitz. I'm having a Suntory whiskey. It's a Japanese whiskey from the company Suntory. It's called the Toki, which is kind of hilarious because of Death Clock. And it is, oh man, it is some delicious stuff. It's not incredibly smoky. It's very well balanced. A friend of mine said that Suntory stuff is quite sweet. I don't understand sweetness in whiskey, but anyway, I just want to do a quick shout out because he does beer reviews at the end of his videos, and that is something that is fantastic, and I live vicariously through you, Mr. Arnold. So if you're watching this, cheers to you. I'm not taking your shtick. I don't mean to take your shtick. I'm just saluting you, my friend. Have a great one, and cheers, YouTube.